Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Butcher here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia today. And I am blessed with a host coming to us. I'm not sure which part of the country. Max, please introduce yourself. Tell us where you're based right now. And we will talk about the power of education and what you have done to change education in children's lives.
Hi, Gertrude. Hello, everyone. I'm Maxim Azarov. I'm CEO of Novokid. Currently calling in from Russia, from Moscow area, and looking forward to this conversation.
Max, I've done a lot of research about you, the work that you have done in the edutech sphere. Tell me, you came from a very corporate background. What was the inspiration that took you down this track to create a platform like this to help children learn English in a very, very innovative and interesting way?
Well, it actually has always been my passion to teach. I always kind of envision myself as, sharing the knowledge and kind of teaching the new generation. This is one of the kind of being fantasies of mine for a very long time, and I always kind of try to find ways to do that on the sidelines. Recently, when I actually became a father of three myself, it really dawned on me that just education for kids in general and language learning specifically is just really stuck in the past. And I didn't see anybody innovating in this area. Just coincidentally, I was kind of hungry for a new project, something else to do, and decided to go ahead on pursue this idea.
So tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, how you came to developing the MVP for this app, and how you managed to raise the funds to actually get it out into what, 40 countries now?
Yeah, plus and minus. The journey has been, I would say short and long at the same time. It's very short when you've done it, and it's pretty long when you're doing it. We initially started with a very, very basic platform that mostly just was mostly just one-on-one tutors with video link, and we didn't even have mobile app. We only had a web app in your browser, very minimal materials for curriculum, and off we went with that. So it actually took us only about, I think, 6 months. So there was only 2 content writers, myself and one more person, Amy, who's our director of learning efficacy now, and just 2 of us, we wrote the whole curriculum within 6 months. First curriculum, of course, first version. So it was really very minimal, very basic, but even that really got traction within the market, and we went from there.
Now, you've been extremely innovative in designing this curriculum. Children learn through play, and it's my understanding that you've gamified the learning process for children. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we actually started with, as I said, with a fairly classic product, essentially just one-on-one tutoring transferred online. But very quickly we realized that it does not really release the full potential of the medium, right? Because internet is so much more than just a video link with the pictures, right? There's videos, there is games, and kids love that. Kids consume that with lots of pleasure. They spend lots of time on YouTube. I can attest to that myself with my kids. Basically, we started thinking, how can we harness that to really power the learning and to extend the learning outside of classroom? So once they are, completed their tutoring session, how can we keep them stick around for, let's say, the tutoring session is half an hour. How can we keep them to stick around for half an hour more and do more learning without actually kind of forcing the parents to be the bad guys to kind of say, okay, sit down and don't leave, right? And that's how the idea of storyline-based learning came around. So we basically decided, okay, let's design our curriculum about storylines, because as humans, and it's a very well researched fact, we absorb information a lot better when it's framed as stories, right? This is where all the fairy tales are coming from, because essentially that's the way we learn, that's the way we absorb information. And we started building our first storyline curriculum, which is called Novokid Magic Academy. It's already used by about half of our students today. And it includes videos, it includes learning games. So basically all the main components that we know are engaging kids today. And we see that roughly about 50% of the time kids spend learning is actually outside of the tutoring sessions. So as I said, basically they spend almost as much time learning by themselves as they spend with a tutor, which is great, but I think we can do better than that. And one of the other amazing outcomes is that we see about 28% uplift in the efficacy of learning. So basically how much material students actually absorb.
Okay.
That grows with this new curriculum.
And so are the kids getting some kind of an incentive, some kind of rewards? What is it that keeps them going? Are the stories that engaging that they just want to come back and find out what happened next?
Yes, exactly. So there is basically we use all the I would say state-of-the-art tools. So there is incentives within a game. They earn stars. They earn cups. There's leaderboards. We also have multiplayer components with player versus player, as well as co-op modes where students play together. So it's really using kind of the tool set that most of the games nowadays are using quite successfully, and it's really just a matter of putting some learning into this context. That's really where the trick lies. But I think our content writers are doing a great job to kind of make it feel like a game, but actually be a learning vehicle underneath.
That is fantastic. Now, I know that right now with COVID, a lot of parents are challenged with having kids at home, having to find other support for them to educate their kids. Have you found that with the current situation, there's a bigger uptake of your app? Has that made a difference?
Yes, we saw a huge uptick in beginning of pandemic in 2020. Over that year, we grew about 7 times year on year, which was completely unexpected, and we were not prepared for that. So I had to scramble a little bit to meet the demand, it definitely accelerated things. I think a lot of parents who were skeptical about online learning, and they were kind of happy with current offline arrangements. They really were forced to try this new format. Yeah. And based on our experience, most of them were not disappointed.
Fantastic. Now you have an array of tutors from every single corner of the globe. I was on your website just looking at the different tutors that you've enrolled. How do you select your tutors? They're coming from different countries. And are they matched with the children from the countries that they're from, or it's just global?
It's global. We're basically building a global community. So the whole, by design, we're trying to match kids with tutors from other countries because, that's really what English language is all about, right? Communicating cross borders. Why would you want to talk to your countryman in English? It doesn't make any sense. Yes. So it's global. Moreover, we also are encouraging some student-to-student learning within the platform, as I mentioned, multiplayer game modes, and we're also encouraging students to communicate across borders. So it's really not just the school; it's actually a community of kids learning English, global community.
Fantastic. And I suppose just with the peer-to-peer connections with the kids, they get to learn other cultures as well. They get to understand people from different countries. So that's going to be another bonus from the experience that people get by coming onto this platform, correct?
Absolutely. I think I would even frame it kind of more broad than that. That the kids who go through Novokid experience, they are psychologically on a completely different level from other peers, because they suddenly see that, hey, there's a big world out there. There is different people with different cultures, and I can speak to them. I can communicate to them. We can work together. So I think that's really what the future of workplace looks like. That's all our future, and we're giving them a head start, and hopefully, not just Novokid, but hopefully in general, that's what the future looks like. That's what we aspire to.
Now, take me back to your formative years with regards to education. You're from Russia originally. I've noticed you've studied in the United States. Did you study English while you were in Russia, or did you learn when you left the country? Tell me a little bit about your background.
Both. I studied English when I was in country. Also studied a little bit when I was in the US. Well, obviously, I would say not a little bit. I would say mostly practicing it. Let's studying the practical side.
Yes.
So when I came to the US, I definitely knew the theory, what it should be, but maybe kind of practice-wise, not so much. So it was definitely a mix, and my own experience definitely taught me that you better start practicing soon. Because first, I would say roughly maybe 10 to 12 years of studying English, I barely had any practice.
Okay, right. And it's completely different when you are in a country where you're fully immersed in the culture, in the language.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very different, because it's you're expected to actually use this language to communicate, not just to kind of know about it.
Yes.
So it is different, and I believe kind of the big difference of the 21st century is that we're all going to be living in this world. You're not going to need to go to the US or the Australia to actually be immersed in English language, because it's going to be all around us as the world globalizes more and more.
Yeah, and with globalization, starting children off this early is just an amazing gift that I think you're bringing to the world. A lot of people end up as adults being thrown into different environments and not really knowing how to relate at a later age. So you're kind of flattening the playing field for these kids. So tell me a little bit about your organization and the corporate responsibility, social responsibility aspect. What do you do to give back to society through your business?
I would start with our own team. So we basically are very diverse. Our own team comes from, I would say, probably 20 or so countries at the moment. We have people of all kinds of backgrounds, both ethnical, religious, and even like sex orientation. So we are very much, not that we ask people during the interview what they are, but we have like all kinds of folks working in Novokid, and I'm very proud of that. I think this is really the way of the future, to be as inclusive as possible. We also have several programs when we work with some kids who had learning challenges. So maybe Andrew can help me with that. I think we had some of the programs specifically for kids who have dyslexia, to help them, learn reading better, things like that. But we're still young, still a young company. I think there's still a lot of things we can do and will do to really make a difference. As we kind of build out our content portfolio, one thing that we're definitely looking into doing is making that available as much as possible to kids who may not necessarily afford, whose parents may not necessarily afford tutoring at the moment, but still they should be able to benefit from the content. We're still not there, but I'm hoping within a short period of time we will be there, in position to do that.
That's fantastic. Now, education is a game changer for especially people in developing countries. I'm personally from Zimbabwe. I am where I am because I got a really good education. Now, why do you think education is so important for the future of humanity?
Well, we are what we are, as you said, not because we're organically, what we are, but also because there is a huge cultural layer on top of that, right? And culture is basically all about education. So I think it's um, essentially just something that makes a whole lot of sense if you want to have a prosperous, nation. And it's been proven by over and over again in terms of the economic growth. Having more educated citizens just simply translates into better outcomes economically for countries, and it's been demonstrated over and over again. Especially, recent transition example is when women finally started getting, on par education with men. The uplift in the economic terms was tremendous, and I expect that this will continue to be so as more and more people get access to better education.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the future, you guys seem to be on the cutting edge with regards to how you're innovating and building out your platform. What can people expect? What else do you have in your back pocket that our listeners and our readers can get from you as an organization?
Well, they can expect us to continue innovating on the curriculum. They can expect us to have very strong focus on the efficacy of learning to, make sure that we provide the most value with our product. As I already mentioned, they can expect us to make our content more available even before they have a chance to try our tutoring services. And just in general, they can expect to hear from us in many ways because we're really trying to be to kind of promote the online learning in general and language learning specifically.
My last question for you is, if you could have a conversation with the future you, let's say when you are 100 and you're sitting on your rocking chair, reflecting back on your life and what this has actually done in the lives of children globally. If you could have a conversation with the future 100-year-old you, what would you say to him?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would actually live that long. The life expectancy is not that great for men, especially. But I would hope definitely that at that age, I can tell you what I would hope. I would have to say when I was 100, I would hope that I would have to say that we made a difference in lives of millions of kids around the world, and really give them better chance for happier life. This would be my hope, that we can scale this to the levels that we can truly reach millions and millions of kids. And we're still in the very early stages of this path. Today's our students are still counted in hundreds of thousands, so we still have at least a couple orders of magnitude to go in terms of reaching out, because we're 7 billion people planet, and there's lots and lots of room to grow. And I think we can reach to many kids, including underprivileged background. So I'm hoping that as we kind of mature as an organization, as we get more solid footing, we can actually turn more and more towards this aspect and really address more and more needs of those who badly need this little nudge to change the trajectory of their lives. Because for those kids who are underprivileged, for them even like the slightest nudge makes a whole lot of difference, whereas like for kids who are already well off, maybe not so much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you for that. I do think that what you've created can revolutionize education globally, especially if those who don't get access do. So I think it's beautiful for you to hold on to that vision, because that would be a beautiful legacy for you to leave. Thank you
I
so
hope so.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for this interview. Is there anything I should have asked you that I left out?
Good question. Andrew, can you think of anything?
Well, no, I think that we've just briefly we touched upon everything we do. I just, if you're really interested, about this impact that Novokid makes on CSR base, I can provide you with more information, because some of our projects are still under development, and we hope to announce them during 2022 and later on. Yeah, but basically everything's covered. I think that's a good blitz.
Good.
Fantastic.
All right.
May I just have one idea here? What Novokid has recently penetrated is new markets, embrace more kids from different countries. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit, Max. Could tell about the new markets in Malaysia, Indonesia, and India, China.
Sure. We can cover that briefly if that makes sense for you, Gertrude.
Sure. So which parts of Australasia you've covered now? If you can give me the list of countries, the new emerging countries.
Yeah, so we last year we started some, I would say, in earnest experiments in Asia, because up until then we were mostly focused on the Europe and Middle East regions, a little bit of Africa. We had some good traction, I would say, kind of in developed countries, which would be South Korea and Japan, but also some pretty promising developments in developing world, which is Malaysia, Indonesia, and for this year we're doing similar experiments in India, which is a very big ed tech market with lots of kids who need help, who need more help with education. Another country we're looking at is China, definitely, but obviously due to kind of legal regulations, still finding our way there. Yeah, it's a bit more challenging, but it also a big up and coming market for us.
Okay. Yeah, China would be huge. We get a lot of Chinese students in New Zealand and Australia coming just for English. And if you could penetrate that market, I think that would be amazing. Awesome. No, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for all coming on board with your team. I hope I do this article justice. I'll pitch it and I'll keep you informed if it gets picked up. And once it's online, I will send you the links. And I would love to repurpose this video on a couple of other platforms that I have, if you don't mind, just to get the word out to other avenues where I think this content could bring a bit of traction to your business as well.
Absolutely.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Max, and thank you for the team. Thank you for putting this together.
Thank you.
All right.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.